Our call to worship is by Margaret Weiss. Come into this place. Come into this place with your whole selves, the parts that are raw and exposed, the part that is beaming with joy, the part that is seeking the truth, the new, the possibility. Come into this place, open your heart, lay down your burden, lift up your heart, and come into this place with fellow travelers on the journey. Some faces new, others familiar, all welcoming you here. Now to this moment, come, let us worship together.
We kindle this flame for courage, the courage to stand with those who are targeted, the courage to speak when silence is easier, the courage to keep showing up through all the difficult hours and minutes. May this light remind us our faith is not passive, our love is not quiet, our welcome is not conditional.
Every week, this church takes an offering to support both the ministries of the church and also an organization whose mission that the church wishes to strengthen in tangible ways. This month, the offering will go 50-50 to this church and shared with your partner, UU Mass Action, which is the organization that I direct. We are an organization that works to mobilize Unitarian Universalists and your congregations to confront oppression and to promote social justice. We work in the areas of immigration justice, decarceration, climate environmental justice, indigenous solidarity, and housing and economic justice. We love working with congregations such as yourselves to make Massachusetts a better and more just state through primarily advocacy and policy in the State House and beyond. The offering will now be generously received.
Today's reading is All the Difficult Hours and Minutes by Jane Hirschfield. All the difficult hours and minutes are like salted plums in a jar. Wrinkled, turn sleepily into themselves. They mutter something the color of shark fins to the glass. Just so, calamity turns toward calmness. First the jar holds the umeboshi, then the rice does.
All the difficult hours and minutes. I was drawn to this reading, to this poem, less so because of the subject of the salted Japanese plum, or omboshi, and more so because of the title, because of the line, all the difficult hours and minutes. These weeks, these months, these years have been filled with difficult hours and minutes, from genocides and wars to shootings, the fear of ongoing wars and climate disaster. These times have been filled with difficult hours and minutes. This poem also, though, speaks of transformation, not a transformation of ugliness to beauty or from seed to fruit, but of a juicy plum to something different, something salted in a jar. In a world so wrecked by havoc and torn by injustice, I believe it is important to seek out the stranger transformations, the ones that perhaps focus less on a complete transformation and more on preservation, on survival, and what a beautiful survival can be. For the Japanese plum, it will not stay ripe and plump and juicy forever, but it can, once immersed in salt, still nourish a body, still complement the rice. Many years back, I began answering an immigration hotline through the accompaniment network Beyond, the Boston Immigration Justice Accompaniment Network. Beyond answers calls from detention centers, people that are separated from their families, who want to touch base with their partners, their children, their friends, people who need help with bond, people who have questions about lawyers, people who are looking for any type of lifeline. The hotline shifts are filled with difficult hours and difficult minutes. Within these difficult hours and minutes, I like to think that there are tiny pieces of transformation, much like salted plums in a jar. Plums that, though they have been through a lot and are now salted and less juicy, can still be delicious, can still provide what they need to provide. When I first started answering the hotline, we had an actual hotline phone that we had to hand off to each other. First off, I'm not a big fan of answering phones. I don't really like calling a restaurant for a reservation, and that call holds a lot less significance. With this phone in particular, I was continually anxious that I was not going to be able to hear the person on the other line, that the call would drop, not to mention that I could respond to their needs. And some needs I was able to meet and others not. And at other times, I felt completely useless. But as I have learned, to feel of use is not always the point. Though it would be great if every need from every call was met, for me it was also about something else. We are consistently urged through our Unitarian Universalist values and principles to see our dignity as tied to the dignity of others, a dignity that when seen in others is godly, sacred, a type of holiness that connects us to a love, perhaps a God, who tells us to love the stranger and to love them actively. And yet, loving the stranger has been a struggle for us as a people and as a country. Through my experience of having answered the hotline, it has become more and more apparent to me that truly learning and feeling someone's dignity as tied to yours, loving beyond those you see and know as familiar, is not just something to mull over or preach or write about, but something to act upon. There was a particular moment when I was answering the hotline during the day. I was answering this hotline while nannying a little 2-year-old girl. During one shift, I had just gotten the little girl I nannied down for a nap. She had stopped crying and was sleeping soundly when the phone rang, and I was connected to a man through a 3-way call to his wife. In a quiet room, especially when we were using this particular phone, it was often difficult to avoid hearing conversations. I often walk away from the phone once I have placed the call, recognizing the awkwardness, the imperfection of hearing a conversation that in any other context I would not hear, I would not be a part of. In this instance, I could hear the conversation quite clearly as the wife talked to her husband about how their son kept making detours on his way home from school and did not come home when he was supposed to. The son then got on the phone, and the dad proceeded to talk to him about his behavior. I heard the son's small voice, filled in part with dejection, a certain despondency, a sadness. I teared up and then got angry, thinking about a world where a man who has done nothing wrong has to parent his little boy through the phone. I had received many calls before this one, before I heard a mother, son, and father trying to be a connected family over the phone. But I am not sure I had heard the full humanity of it before. How awful. Upon this realization, I turned my disgust, hurt, and anger at the system towards myself. There have been so many calls before that broke my heart, but I am not sure I had heard the person on the other line as part of my community, as part of my sibling, neighbor, and friend, until one particular call when I heard that wife and son parent their son over the phone. We are part of a system that insists again and again that it is not our siblings, not our family that's in detention. They insist again and again that they are holding illegals, They insist that they are detaining aliens. Now, I think it's very important that confronting the system, we confront the injustice, and we also let our joy and our humanity shine through. This accompanying network I work with, the Beyond the Boston Immigration Justice Accompanying Network, we often come together and sing. And so I'm going to invite you now all to sing with me. This is a very simple song. I'm just going to sing it a couple times, and you can join in as you're willing and able. Join in. Or if you know it already, please feel free to join in. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. As your people are my people, your people are mine. Your people are my people, you're divine, my divine. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. As your people are my people, your people as mine. Your people are my people, you're divine, my divine. One more time. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. As your people are my people, your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. You're divine, my divine. Another story told by a friend. A man in detention whose wife just had a baby. At his court date, his wife came to support him, and she wanted to show him her new baby. The man had one arm, but of course was still shackled. He asked if he could be unshackled just for a few minutes in order to hold his new baby. His request was denied. They kept him shackled. Onlookers watched as a father was only allowed a few minutes to see his baby and was denied the right to hold him. These stories illustrate how we have lost a part of our dignity, a part of our humanity. These are difficult hours and difficult minutes. It is up to us, all of us, the ones on the outside and inside of detentions, of prisons, to reclaim this humanity, to transform this world. Let us remind ourselves and each other of this world's loveliness, and let us remind ourselves by working to fix our interconnected web that is built on recognizing our dignity is tied to the dignity of all living things, of all living people. I could stop here, but I think there is more to be said about the actual tangible actions to take. In this time, so many of us are called by our faith to act and to act faithfully. Many of us, in fact, are bombarded every day by actions, rallies to attend, representatives to call, causes that need money, petitions that need signing, potlucks, fundraisers, workshops. So much calls our attention. While I, of course, think all of these are important, I also think it's important for all of us who are worried about the loveliness of our humanity fading, for all of us who are worried about our connected dignity faltering. I think we must find action to take that connects people on the outside of your community to your community. I encourage all who have kept fighting to keep fighting in welcoming refugees, immigrants, strangers, to fighting the system, to keep asking what is needed, to keep affirming dignity. For me, these actions have been answering the hotline and volunteering in prisons. For you, it could be volunteering in prison, answering a hotline, visiting a deportation center, or just stepping outside of your neighborhood and making an outsider an insider. Before the pandemic, I attended a dinner for those of us who worked in different capacities for this immigration network. 3 people were there who had previously been in detention and who had been impacted by our network when they were on the inside. They had lots to say, what improvements we could make when it came to our hotline hours, the question of was it possible to get more clergy, more visitors in. They had frustrations and sadnesses to tell, but they also talked about hope. They talked about how many of the people they saw around them had given up. And part of what they valued about the work of our network was it was a voice from the outside that gave them hope. A voice through a hotline that connected them to a loved one, or a visit that confirmed their humanity instead of denying it. Sitting around the dinner table, many of the people who had gotten out of immigration prison shared how life could be better navigated from the inside. They differed on these ideas, but they all nodded their heads when hope came up. A basic type of hope sustained them, a hope rooted in the fact that there were people living and breathing outside a detention center, and a group of these people, even beyond their own family and friends, believed that they deserved a life outside of detention, that their lives, in fact, did not deserve to be detained and dehumanized. We are seeing on the ground people being abducted daily, parents, children, grandparents, community members, and more. We are seeing daily violence from ICE in our communities. We are seeing people unable to pay rent or worried to go to food banks because they get kept picked up by ICE. These are not new, but they are heightened. The UU minister, Reverend Elizabeth Wynn, in a keynote to the Minnesota Unitarian Universalist Social Justice Alliance, reminds us that liberation is not measured in task forces or downloadable PDFs, but in nimble, loving, humble partnerships. As much as liberation might feel easier if it was just showing up to a meeting, signing a petition, or downloading a PDF, what a wonder and what a relief that it is actually about relationship, that liberation is actually about love. Let us measure liberation in love. And though love at times may be a struggle, it is something our minds, bodies, and hearts are always ready to do. So let us love. Let us love and put action to our love through remembering that those in detention, those denied the right to step over a border, are our family, and let us give them everything our family deserves. The writer Bell Hook notes that to love is to be open to grief, to be touched by sorrow, even when sorrow is unending. And wow, does it feel like the sorrows of today are unending? They are unending, but let us remind ourselves that so is our love. The grief and sorrow may be unending, but so is our love. The salted plums do not have to be a calamity. Let us hold them in the jar, in the rice. Let us hold them and eat them so our bodies may remind us that they are feeding us, even if they have lost their sweetness. Amen.